Tara here with the Southern Oregon Land Conservancy, bringing you today's edition of Outside Everyday with SOREEL. Today I'm going to show you how to find or make a nature journal out of things in your home, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the basics of nature journaling and also point you to a really incredible free resource online if you want to take a deeper dive. So first thing to do is to poke around your house and see if you already have a journal that you could use. Something this small I wouldn't necessarily recommend, especially for younger explorers. There's not a lot of space to really write or draw or explore, but an old school notebook like this one would be a great option. Should you come up empty-handed in the search, you can also make your own. If you have a binder kicking around the house and a three-hole punch, you can use recycled paper in there. You could also use binder paper. If you don't have a binder to use as the cover, you can also just tie your papers together like this. And again, you can see I've used recycled paper, three-hole punch, and this is actually dental floss to hold these together. If you go with this method, I would recommend that you leave the floss or the string a little bit loose so that when you open the pages, they don't rip around the string. And if you leave it tied with a bow, then you can go back and add more pages later. If you don't have a three-hole punch, you can also use a brown paper bag and some folded paper in this way. So you can see the cover is just a piece cut out of a paper bag. Inside, I've got some blank pages that are just folded over by a couple inches and then tucked around a string run around the outside. It's a little rustic, but it absolutely does the job. So once you have found or created your journal, it's time to get started with your very first entry. And I recommend that you always include the date, the time of day, the location, and the weather. When you include those, you start to always have a context for whatever content you're writing in your journal. And using that context, you can start to see the big patterns that emerge. And of course, the more entries that are in your journal, the more clearly you'll be able to see those patterns. Thinking about it from a scientific point of view, you can use that data, that information about date, time, location, and weather to help control variables, right? So you can look just at entries that were written in the springtime, or just at entries that were written on rainy days, or days when it's hailing. And that way you can start to tease out some of the correlations that you're seeing among your entries. Now, throughout this series, we will be offering you lots of prompts in the coming weeks and months, but there is an incredible resource online that's available for free. It's the John Muir Law's Guide to Teaching Nature Journaling. It's an absolutely beautiful resource, very comprehensive, so if you want to take a deep dive, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It also has alignment for the next generation science standards, so if you're working with developing scientific literacy with your students, it's a really, really fabulous resource. So you can either go there for activities or you can continue to tune in here with us. And so I would encourage you to make or find your journal and go outside to your sit spot today, or maybe sit inside and look out a window today. Write down, again, the date, the time, the location, and the weather, and make your first observations in that journal. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.